Hey comic book fans, welcome back YouTube fans, and welcome back SoundCloud listeners, as this is the countdown, episode number 138. Welcome back everybody, as this is the show where, yes, me, Mike Spider Slayer on Comic Book Corner 2.0, counts down his least favorite comic and goes all the way down to that top spot, and then I talk about the top 10 most anticipated comics of the week and some of my personal most anticipated books of the week. So with that being said, everybody, welcome back once again, and let's get started with the countdown, episode number 138. Now, there wasn't that many comics this week for me. In fact, I only bought 8 comics, and I actually read 2 digitally, so there's only 10 books on the countdown this week, as it is a very light week, and next week will be the same, if not lighter. I am making room on my pull list for DC Rebirth and weeding out those comics that I just don't find absolutely outstanding or drawing my attention, because money means everything, right? I can't just continue to throw money away for books that are mediocre. So, starting with number 10, it goes to a book that I actually don't normally read, but it's a book that had to tie into the whole Pleasant Hill situation, and that is New Avengers, issue number 8. And this book is, it was just not for me. I read the first issue of New Avengers, and I don't really like the team. I'm not a fan of it. The artwork is okay for me, but this story itself, I just found it very, very just blah, and I couldn't get into it, no matter what it is. I don't know if it's just the team overall, the characters. I just don't see these characters as Avengers, in my opinion. I mean, do we really need all this many Avenger books? Why can't we just have one main Avenger book, and that's that? Again, the artwork is kind of cool. It reminds you of watching a cartoon or whatnot, but the story overall, I couldn't get into, and I actually didn't finish the story. It really was the continuation of the whole Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Pleasant Hill book, and I kind of enjoyed that, and that's why I picked this up. But as I read it and I saw the team and the way they interacted with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I was just like, blah, I'm not going to read it anymore. So I can't even give it an accurate star rating, because I just found it just not my thing. And there's a reason why I don't buy that book. But with a lot of these standoff issues, these tie-in issues, they're almost meaningless. They just don't mean anything into the main story. So it's just, why should I continue to read these tie-in issues? They're pretty much a waste of money. Because what happens now is that goes into the number 9 comic book of the week, and this is the Howling Commandos, issue number 6, and just like that, this is the finale to this series. It just ended abruptly. That and Angela was the other book that ended quite quickly here, and I was disappointed in this, because this book was a different book that Marvel was putting on the table for its readers. But this was a book that I think kind of just failed. When it comes to Howling Commandos overall, this was a book that really didn't dive into the character development piece here. They had one story that consisted of 5 issues long that they were dealing with their major enemy, the Sphinx, and it dealt with a new character that was introduced into the team. My problem is with this is, in the first 5 issues, we should have gotten to learn more about Dum Dum Dugan and how he became this cyborg. Learn about Jasper, who is like the zombie guy of the team. Learn about Hitmonkey. How did he become part of this team? Manphibian. All these other characters that are involved with the team, I want to know more about them. And we don't even know how Teen Abomination got onto the team. He was on Superior Iron Man. They're just there, and they're part of the supernatural division of S.H.I.E.L.D. called Stake. And that was the problem with the book. So this book came out once a month. and it spent 5 issues not fleshing out any of the characters and dealing with this overdrawn story. And so right away now in issue 6, it deals in with a tie-in of Standoff. So why are people going to buy this book if you're not going to continue to make the characters grow? And I felt that's where Howling Commando suffered, and that's why it got canceled. There was no reason why for people to buy this. You know, I think it's a great idea and a great concept, but it just wasn't executed in the correct way. I love horror creatures, and it would be cool to see this work, but it just didn't. And in this book, you see the Howling Commandos go after Argo, who is stuck on Pleasant Hill, or who was on Pleasant Hill, and he was actually made into this puppy. And you know how on Pleasant Hill you're a villain and whatnot, and you're meant to forget, and your identity is turned. And in this issue, we wind up getting to see Argo go up to that little girl that changes everybody, which is Kobek, and he's like, oh, I want to be back in the place that I was and whatnot. And it was an okay issue that had to deal with that character, but it's just too little too late when it comes to the Howling Commandos. And just like that, the book gets the plug, and it just ends just like, oh, until the next mission, we are the Howling Commandos. And unfortunately, this is just another casualty of all new, all different Marvel. That's 3 titles now. We have Black Knight, who is barely given a chance. We have Howling Commandos, same thing. You know, 5 issues basically done. And now Angela, who I can honestly see what's the appeal to that book, as well as that Secret Wars book I thought was just really, really rough. So, in the end, I gotta give Howling Commandos number 6 2.75 out of 5, and I'm sorry to see it go. But it does save me another $3 a month, or $4 a month, for that matter. So, definitely not worth that $4. Alright, so what is number 8 on this week's list? Now, I didn't buy it because same thing, the story just puttered out, but it just piqued my curiosity to see Carnage on a little ship here. And I'm like, okay, what does Carnage have to do this time? And it's issue number 6, and in this book we wind up seeing Carnage now. I guess some time has passed. He's stowed away on a boat. He's all messed up, and we got to see this female who actually rescues him. And Carnage has this book that he required from the last story arc, and it looks like he's getting to a certain location. But in the meantime, he's chasing after this girl in a boat, and it's like the girl's running away. She can't get anywhere. He uses this spell. He changes her into something like some kind of carnage creature or whatever it is. She lights the boat on fire. She escapes, and then you have Eddie Brock and the other cast of members. Jay Jonah's son, John Jameson, is on there, and then they wind up finding the girl. And that's how the story ends. And I was kind of like, okay, so technically this is not like a completely different story. The story is actually continuing with these guys trying to find Carnage in this book. So what are they going to chase him around the ocean? Like, what's going to happen? And like the ship blew up, it was lit on fire and everything else. So I just had to see where it went. And it's continuing the story. It's not a separate story. It's just, it's not a viable story for me. It's just like, all right, how long can we go on with Carnage with this book and whatnot? I don't know where the direction this is going to go. I might continue to read it digitally just like I did, not pay money for it. I get the resources from, Comic Frontline. And I give it 3 out of 5 stars. It was okay. It kept my interest through the book. But again, it's just like, man, when is this just going to get old for people, So we'll see what happens. Alright, so that was number 8 on the list. Number 7 this week goes to the conclusion of Robin Hood, and it's otherwise titled as Fucking Riot. That's basically what it says on the cover on here. Patrick Shan is the writer of this book, and when it comes to Robin Hood, I can promote this series all day. It was a very well done series when it comes to like all the trade paperbacks that Patrick Shan wrote, even the beginning of this ongoing series, it was very well done. The artwork was beautiful in it. I loved the direction. There was a lot of humor in the book. But the problem when it came to Robin Hood is that as the series went along, I thought it lost its way a little bit. The story, same thing, was drawn out as you get to see Robin Hood do this battle against this Cabal group where they're kind of like a Court of the Owls type of group. And I felt that her supporting cast of characters was weak in the end. I thought, with her teaming up with Marianne was very nice. And then she decided to have all these other cast of characters, which I wasn't very keen on. And even the enemy, even though they were like a Court of the Owls, they're not Court of the Owls. They're a Cabal, and they ran the city and whatnot. And we've seen Robin doing battle against these characters throughout the entire series. And so for me, that just got a little old. There was a lot of sorcery in there, which is not my cup of tea overall. But in the end, it was a pretty good conclusion to the series. Patrick Shan decided to end this on his own. It's not the last time we're going to see Robin, but if you really want to learn about Robin Hood's character, the core of the character, I say go back and read her trade paperbacks. I think there was 3 of them, and they were all really well done, and you get to see her origin story, how she became the way she was, how she met Marianne, and things like that. But in the end, I thought the book got a little bit too serious. It's lost its humor along the way, and it is ending. And I got to give this one an actual 3 out of 5 stars. I got tired of it, unfortunately, and this usually was a really good book for me. So, yeah, 3 out of 5 stars. You get to see Robin Hood do battle against the Cabal and the 4 Horsemen, and I just felt, again, it was just a little bit drawn out for me. Again, the last issue, there will be an annual issue on the book that has the original artist on there, which is Larry Watts, really good artist, and we'll see where that annual goes, but this series, this is the last one. Alright, so next we go on to number 6. And number 6 goes to the Totally Awesome Hulk, issue number 4. Now this would be probably lower on my list this time around, as this is the conclusion to Lady Hellbender and her capturing the Hulk for her own little plaything. And the Hulk wants nothing to do with it. That part of the story was not very interesting for me. This is the conclusion to that story, and I was just like, yeah, I could care less about that part of the story. The artwork in here by Frank Cho is really well done. It is a gorgeous and pretty looking book. There is nice colors. There's cool little facial expressions in here, But overall, I thought the end of this story just wasn't necessary, and I find myself caring more about the whole Bruce Banner situation. You want to find out what happens to Banner in the book, and in this book you find out, piece by piece when it goes through the issues. In this issue, you wind up seeing Amadeus Cho come face to face with a radiated Hulk, and you get to see him transfer his powers over to Amadeus Cho towards the actual middle of the book here. And I love seeing that story. And you see Banner actually not being gamma radiated anymore. It looks like he's back to normal. But Amadeus Cho now took all the radiation from him. And as you get to see him experiencing that for the first time, the book goes into the actual ending part of the story. And it was okay, but again, it wasn't the best part of the story. It's really what it is it's not the Hellbender, it's not the humor. The part that makes the story okay is that Amadeus Cho is fighting against himself to not lose control, not like Banner. He wants to be a different type of Hulk, and we get to see him struggle throughout this series with that, and that's the part that I appreciate. That the other part where, again, with Lady Hellbender, I could really care less. I want to know about Banner. I want to know about Amadeus Cho and his journey. The overall story here is entertaining, but it's not perfect. So I gotta give this one a 3 1/4 out of 5 stars, and that was number 6 this week. Alright, next we go on to number 5. And number 5 goes to the all new, all different Avengers. Again, another standoff issue, a tie-in book. And this one was a little bit better than the others. Now, when it comes to all new, all different Avengers, I will always read this, even if it has to do with the tie-in or not. The book opens up very nicely, though, as it opens up with Sam Wilson and Jane Foster, and him just interacting with her here about the whole, why do you do it? Why are you Thor? Why do you cancel out your chemo? When you put through all that hard work in fighting the cancer, and there's good dialogue and good character moments in the beginning of that book, and that's what I like about all new, all different Avengers as of late. Mark Waid is really starting to get a feel for his characters. He's starting to put real good emotion in the book, and I like that. And when it came to the whole standoff part, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool, because before you got to that part, you got to see Miss Marvel dealing with the Vision, how she's trying to earn his trust back, and he gives her like this virtual reality headset, and she gets to relive all the past Avengers battles that they had, and he's like, yeah, it makes you kind of like a charter member, and he really made her feel like part of the team, and that's something that you haven't seen yet from Vision, make her feel part of that team. But then in this book, as you get to the end of it, we get to see Maria Hill take him to Pleasant Hill. She's fighting another Maria Hill, and this whole battle erupts between the Avengers and the Uncanny Avengers, and it's all crazy, and you don't know which Maria Hill is what, and what happens is you wind up seeing this Kobach creature, or girl, or whatever it is. It starts snowing in Pleasant Hill, and you get to see them inside like this globe, and they're just captured in Pleasant Hill, and you get to see the population actually increase. Where it says, from welcome to Pleasant Hill, population 1507, and you get to see the population change to 1520, and you wind up seeing Stark and Miles Morales here in this Pleasant Hill, not remembering who they are, and Miles is just like, I don't know what's going on, Mr. Stark, but I just got this headache that won't go away, So it's his spider sense kicking in, knowing that there's something wrong, but he just doesn't know what it is. So this was a good tie-in issue. For me, this made sense. How they wound up getting stuck in there or whatnot. And I liked it. And so that's why it was number 5 on the list this week, and it got 3.5 out of 5 stars. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than the other tie-in books. Alright, now we go on to number 4. And number 4 this week goes to Star Wars issue number 17 here. This book was good for the parts of Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, where they're dealing with their gambling situation, and they have to herd a whole bunch of these creatures in the Millennium Falcon, and Han Solo and Luke Skywalker are like arguing with each other. They're wind up getting chased by the Imperials by the time you get to the end of this issue, which I thought was really neat. The other part of the story is you have Leia, and you have what's her name? Sana rescuing Afra, because I guess they want her killed against these bounty hunters that are killing people in the prison, which that part of the story I wasn't too excited about, but I did like the Luke Skywalker and Han Solo story, like I said. And the one thing that's kind of upsetting me about this book is the artwork right now. It's not the rich, detailed artwork that I loved from the first story arc and from Stuart Immonen since he took it over. The book, I think, lacks a lot of detail compared to what it had before. And I'm not sure if this artist is staying on the book, but I want the book to go back to more detailed art. I want to see the characters look like Leia, Han, Luke Skywalker, and whatnot. But this book had good elements in it, but not fantastic elements. And it did get number 4 this week, and 3.25 out of 5 stars. Alright, another book that we're going to talk about this week, which was the next digital book, was, and let me see if I can find it real quick for you guys. And that was Hyperion issue number 1, Hopefully I can find it. Okay, as it comes up. And here's the image. Sorry, SoundCloud listeners, that you can't see it, but it is Hyperion issue number 1. This was a pretty good book, as it didn't feel like so much a Marvel book. It did feel like an independent comic book, and me and my friend in Comic Frontline, Jay, we're talking about this, and it felt like more of an independent comic book, as you get to see Hyperion go undercover. He's trying to find his identity. He's not sure if he wants to be a hero or not. He struggles with that, tries to do the right thing. He comes across this girl by the name of Doll. She belongs to this traveling circus or whatnot, and her power is to make all these machines move, and she's running for them, and all these circus freaks are chasing after Hyperion and them, and you get to see this a lot of action and things like that. Pretty good story, just I didn't exactly expect the whole circus thing going on. And when I see circus, for some reason, it reminds me of that season of Heroes where you had like the tattoo artist and the traveling circus people. That always reminds me of that. But Hyperion was a pretty good story because I liked Hyperion himself. I just liked what he's trying to figure out. And hopefully we'll get to see more of that. And will Doll be part of his supporting cast going forward? Or is it just the introduction? Or is it just the story arc or whatnot? Like, I want to see where this book goes. I don't think I'll purchase it every month. I might read it digitally every month. But it was a decent read. It did surprise me. I kind of just threw this one over my shoulder and said, nah, and blew it off. But when I was told to read it and said that I would like it, I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. And I did. I like the character development of Hyperion. So we'll see where the series goes. Give it 4 out of 5 stars. All right. Finally, we get to some good books here. And the next book we're going to talk about is the number 2 book, and it goes to Batman issue number 50. I thought this was a shoe-in for number 1 pick of the week, and it might be for a lot of people, but for me, there's one other book that I enjoyed a little bit more. And this book was really cool. I like the cover here, and the artwork, of course, by Greg Capullo is absolutely gorgeous. And basically in this book, all shit just breaks loose throughout the entire issue. You get to see Mr. Bloom. He's destroying Gotham. It's once again the city's in turmoil. Mr. Bloom is unleashing this big freaking black hole thing where all his seeds contribute to it. We get to see the return of Batman in this book in all his glory. He gets a new costume, which I thought was really nice. And he completely kicks some serious ass in this book. And I love the dialogue in the beginning of it. He's like, I gotta do it right. I gotta make things the right way. I gotta make an entrance in here. And I love Jim Gordon's tenacity in this book as well. He feels he has a responsibility to the city, that he has to finish off Mr. Bloom, no matter how injured he was. This is my favorite page of the book, as it gets to show off the costume. And we find out in this issue as well is that Bruce Wayne is completely healed because of I forgot the stuff that he was battling in when he did battle against the Joker. But now that he's free from his amnesia, he's also back to normal. Everything is healed. Every bruise, every ache, everything that he suffered, he's just like a brand new Bruce Wayne until he gets broken down all over again. But in the beginning of this issue, it does a nice job at really reintroducing the character, him doing battle. It was nice to see Batman back, and I love the book. And we wind up finding out who started this whole Mr. Bloom thing in the issue, and I'm not really want to say his name in the book, but it was really well done how they told the story, and it was just overall, it was a good book. It was really worth the money that you spent in it. We get to see this Bat-mech, which I was a little confused in this part, because we wound up seeing a mech looking like this, and Batman is on the outside of it, but then we don't see this character or that mech anymore, and we wind up seeing Batman in this mech. So I was a little bit confused on that. I didn't quite get what was going on there. But nevertheless, the whole issue was just packed with action. You get the story unfolds on how Mr. Bloom was created and who is behind the whole thing. And we get to see Duke in this book, and just, it's a gorgeous book to look at. And then by the time we get to the end of this book, yes, Mr. Bloom is destroyed. He gets blown up or whatever it is. And then we get to see a story, a backup story, epilogue story with Jim Gordon recovering in the hospital, as this is his farewell basically to being Batman, and him and Jerry Powers are talking about things and how he's reinstated as commissioner. And it was a good story. It was very well done. It was definitely worth the money this time around. I think this one was like $6 or whatnot. So I really enjoyed this book. I thought this would be the #1 book, but there was one book that I enjoyed just a little bit more, and I gave this one 4 3/4 out of 5 stars. But the #1 book of this week goes to Wonder Woman issue number 50. This was another milestone issue, and this has a backup story on it with Donna Troy, and that Donna Troy story, personally, was a fantastic story, and I liked it. I think I liked it better than the main Wonder Woman story. But when it comes to David Finch's artwork, I love his artwork. I think he's great. And he's going to be going on the Batman title with Rebirth, and I can't wait to see his artwork on there. But I think he draws Wonder Woman absolutely beautifully. He has all his characters are super detailed, and just the expression he puts on Wonder Woman's face, just the eyes glistening, and just everything about it is absolutely gorgeous. But we get to see Wonder Woman, how she meets up with these Cyclopses. These Cyclopses set her free to continue her mission. Wonder Woman gets these orbs to save baby Zeke or whatnot. And what happens is she's looking for answers from Hecate. I think that's how you say her name, on try to save baby Zeke. But then she has to go against Ares, and she has to get this dragon, and I forgot the actual dragon's name. But what happens is she meets up with Ares in the actual book, and he wants to become the god of war once again. He wants his power back. So you wind up seeing this battle commence between Wonder Woman and Ares, and I thought it was just absolutely awesome to see these two fight. And then she comes across the Lord of the Monster, or whatever the hell he's called, and this page right here, this 2-page splash page, is just absolutely awesome. And that's what I'm talking about David Finch's artwork. And I was like, man, that is great. And you get to see him do battle against this dragon, and then Wonder Woman uses the lasso of truth, and she flies on the creature, and she's like, to save Zeke, and she flies off with it, and then that's kind of how the book ends. And you'll see it continue in issue number 51. So it was an awesome story, and I love the interactions between Zeus and Wonder Woman, and them fighting for the God of War back, and just all that stuff was just really nice. And then you go forward and you get to see this this backup story here called You Can't Change Fate. And this is Donna Troy dealing with her being a fate. She doesn't know what it means. She doesn't know what she's supposed to do. If she is supposed to guide people in the right direction, if she just is supposed to see their fate, she doesn't know what she's supposed to do. And she comes across this boy, and she sees that there's a rough storm in the actual ocean, and she feels that if she rescues this boy, she sees another path for him as causing a death, or to take a different path, you know. And she doesn't know what to do. She struggles with herself. And so her horse, which is like a Pegasus, Discordia is his name, takes her there and is showing her that, you know, you have to save this boy. And so she's like, all right, fine. So she goes and she saves this boy, and the boy was just going out to get a fish to save to get for his mom, because that's what, you know, him and his dad did, and it was a really nice story. And Donna felt, you know what, if I save this boy, maybe he will take a different path and not rob the store and shoot somebody and whatnot. And when she rescues the boy, she feels that that was the right thing to do, that he will take that different path. So as the story progresses, we wind up seeing her go to this market, and what happens? The boy winds up accidentally shooting the clerk. And we wind up finding out, though, it was to uncover a different crime, a different fate, because the store clerk or the bank clerk or whoever it was wind up uncovering this. He was hiding girls in a basement, and even though it was a different path, it still uncovered something good. So it was really interesting to see this story, and in the end, it just goes to show that sometimes even good things come from dark places. So it was to save somebody else, but it was just a string of things. So really interesting story. I love seeing the struggle of Donna Troy in that book. And overall, this was a great issue. The first story was great. The backup story was, if not even better, one of the best backup stories to these milestone issue 50s. And I got to give this one a 5-star, all around my favorite book of the week. So there you guys have it. There is the countdown. And when I return, we'll talk about my the top 10 most anticipated books, and about 3 books that maybe you guys should check out this week. So I'll be right back. Thanks for watching, guys. Big sour, yummy. Big Sour Patch Kids. You guys know you want these some today. I just go, stick like 8 or 9 of them in your mouth and see how sour your mouth can actually get. These aren't your normal size Sour Patch guys. These are the new Big Sour Patch Kids. Try some today. You won't be disappointed. No. Okay, guys, now it's that time of the show where Mike Spider Slayer talks about the top 10 most highly anticipated comics of the week. And this poll list is generated off of Comixology on the books that people are most looking forward to in their poll lists. So what we're going to start off with this week is number 10, and we're going to start off with Captain America Sam Wilson, number 7. That's right, guys. Now, this seems like a really light week in comic books this week. Personally, I usually buy about anywhere from 12 to 15 comics a week. And on my pull list this week, I think I have 5, and that was a struggle to get that. So, here's what we have this week. Number 10, again, Captain America Sam Wilson, number 7. It's an enormous 75th anniversary issue and an Avenger standoff tie-in. Surprise, surprise. This is a $6 comic book. I don't know if I'm going to be purchasing it. I don't think so. What I'll probably do is I might get a chance and read it digitally, and I'll read it that way. I think for, Captain America fans, this might be something that you might be interested in purchasing. If you're really invested into Standoff, you might want to try this one out. Does it tie into the story that much to where you need to read it? Probably not. But nevertheless, this might be something that you might want to add to your collection. Alright, so now we go to number 9, and that is Batman and Robin Eternal, issue number 26. It's the catastrophic conclusion of the acclaimed weekly series that brings together all of Batman's one-time partners. So, it looks like this is the final issue, the conclusion to the story. I read issue number 25, trying to find out what's going on there. I haven't been really consistently reading it, but I know a lot of fans have, and they've invested all their hard-earned money in this weekly series, and I think people have enjoyed this one overall. So it could be it. I think this is truly the last one. Alright, so number 8 this week goes to All New X-Men, issue number 7. In the wake of a terrible act committed by the adult Cyclops, mutant kind is hated and feared more than ever. So in the last issue, you wind up seeing Cyclops being captured by Toad. So, we're not exactly sure, but it looks like maybe Toad is holding young Cyclops responsible for dead Cyclops' things that he was implementing, or whatever the case may be. This book is really well done by Dennis Hopeless, and I love the artwork by Mark Bagley here. This is a book that I think you guys should pick up. Next is JLA number 8. And this follows number 7 most anticipated book, with Earth as collateral damage. The Kryptonians, Destiny called Rio, has the Justice League on the ropes. I read the first, I want to say, 4 issues of this book, and then it kind of lost me a little bit, and so I just did not invest any more into the title. I'm not saying it's a bad title, it just wasn't for me. There's just a lot going on here, and again, a lot of these books I'm not going to jump in or read right now, especially when it comes to DC as we're approaching DC Rebirth. Alright, next goes to Black Science by Image Comics, issue number 21. This is number 6 on the list this week. Rick Remender does the work on this book, this, I heard, is a really well-done independent book by Image. Unfortunately, I never got to read this book myself. But if you guys are independent fans and you like Black Science, it's coming out this week. It's only $3.50. It's not $3.99 like most books. So, yeah, check out Black Science, issue number 21. Alright, next this week goes to number 5, and number 5 on the list is Amazing Spider-Man 1.4. The line between life and death has blurred. Spider-Man and the Sanitarians face the new mystical threat that will horrify you in a way you've never expected before. Amazing Spider-Man, the point issues are pointless, in my opinion. The whole fact of having point issues originally for Marvel was to have a good jumping on point for its readers. And they've totally gotten away from it, especially when it comes to Amazing Spider-Man, as they decide to insert stories between the main story, which I find is completely confusing and kind of throws off your collection and how you collect things. If you want to do a separate Amazing Spider-Man story, just call it Amazing Spider-Man Part 1 of 4 and make it a separate book. Why connect it to the main story? Why connect it to the main title? Just make it a separate story. I don't like how they use the point for that. That's absolutely ridiculous. But I will not be reading that. I read the Amazing Spider-Man in general, but not the point stories. Again, they're pointless to me. Alright, next we go on to number 4. And number 4 is Daredevil number 5. It's a mixed bag when it comes to Daredevil for a lot of people. And this is Salvation at Hand. Matt Murdock struggles to come to grips with his failure to save Chinatown from the clutches of 10 Fingers. Now, I like Daredevil. I love the artwork in it. It's very dark, and however, people really love this series or they really dislike this series, because a lot of people like Mark Waid's run, and now we have no longer Mark Waid on it. So it's completely flipped. It's done at 180, and it's a Daredevil that maybe a lot of fans have known in the past. And some people may like that, but some people that read Daredevil with Mark Waid's run are disappointed with it. So it's a mixed bag when it comes to this book. Being that I collect so many titles, I'm no longer purchasing this book, but I'll probably read it digitally this week and see where this 10 Fingers story has gone, or is going. I read the first 4 issues, and I feel like after 4 issues, I feel that a story arc needs to end. Especially when it comes to this all different Marvel Universe. It seems that we've had so many reboots or restarts or relaunches or whatever you may call it, and it just feels like the universe has completely stalled. The universe has not gone forward, and that's what happens when you constantly do these things. And being that they've only had one story arc that's lasting 4 months or 3 months or whatever the case may be, it's just too long. I need it to progress faster. I want a universe that just keeps going. That's why when they rebooted everything, I was okay with it originally with Marvel Now. But when we get all new Marvel Now and all different Marvel Now, the universe has not moved forward. It's at a stall. It's at a standstill. And that's kind of my problem with a lot of these Marvel titles at this point. And I'm a huge Marvel fan. Marvel fan first than anything. And it's a little bit disappointing for me. All right, next, number 3 on the most highly anticipated list this week goes to Aquaman, issue number 50. Dead water is a killer and a monster. No matter where you go, he can reach you if there's even one drop of water present. That sounds pretty cool. I haven't read Aquaman since Jeff Johns' run. I have no idea what's going on in the series currently, but a lot of you fans are out there are excited about it. It's got over 2,700 pulls, so go Aquaman fans. Enjoy your Aquaman. I will not be reading it. I will be reading Rebirth, though, and see where that goes. All right, next is Darth Vader, issue number 18. Book's got over 2,800 pulls. With resources vital to the Empire on the line, Vader makes his move. But Silo and his forces are looking to show him up before he can. Ever since Vader Down, unfortunately, I haven't enjoyed this title as much. We were dealing with a book that dealt with like a one-shot and this resources and all those other things. And I kind of find myself a little bit lost with Vader at the moment. I'm not completely enjoying it the way I want to. So it'll be a matter of time to see if the story kind of turns around for me, or if I might drop it. And I don't want to drop it because I've pretty much enjoyed Vader since it's come out. But the story that's being told right now, I'm just not digging it. I'm not really into it. I really enjoyed Vader Down, and once Vader Down ended, it's kind of like it's been on this low for me. All right. So, the most highly anticipated book this week, probably by almost double, is Saga number 35 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. Over 5,600 pulls this week, and all it says is it's just hard time. So, in the last issue of Saga, we got to see baby Hazel, who is probably going to get assistance on escaping the prison planet from her teacher, the teacher that was instructing her and whatnot, and showed her secret, how she was half wreath and half landfall. I think that's what it is. I'm not 100% sure on the other species name. I forget. But nevertheless, the story is absolutely brilliant. Brian K. Vaughan has created this universe that is just, the imagination can only take you, it's endless, and what he created here is beautiful, and I love the characters, I love the artwork by Fiona Staples. I totally understand why this is the most highly anticipated book on people's list, because it's a great story, and you want to see Alana and Marco make it. You want to see them find their baby because they've been separated from her, and it's just awesome. You want to see those two succeed. So there are the top books of the week, and now I want to talk about some of the books that I want to remind you guys that are out there, that are coming out this week and might pique your interest. Number 3 is Grim Tales of Terror, issue number 6. This is by Zenescope Entertainment. This book is a book filled with horror stories. Each issue, it's a one-shot, and it tells a different type of horror story. And if you like horrors and you want to be scared, then I suggest you guys read this story, because I think it's pretty well done at times. Other times the stories are a little weaker, but other times the stories are really, really good. And what makes this story in this series so well is that you can pick it up whenever you want. If you think there's a story that may not interest you, you're like, I'll pass it this month. But then there might be one that'd be like, oh wow, that cover looks good, that story looks interesting, let's pick it up. So check out Grim Tales of Terror, issue number 6, if you haven't yet. Alright, number 2 on my list that I should remind you guys about, that I want you guys to check out, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Deviations one-shot. Just like the Transformers one, just like the G.I. Joe one, now Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has their deviations, and then it's like a what-if comic, and with this one, it's basically what if Shredder led the Turtles. So whether if they were part of the Foot Clan, or whatever the case may have been, or it was Splinter, or Splinter was the enemy, or whatever the case may be, it's Shredder's in charge of those turtles. That makes for an interesting story, and if you're a Teenage Mutant Ninja fan, I think you want to pick this one up. And there's a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans out there. They've been around for decades, and this is one that you guys should pick up. The cover art looks absolutely gorgeous on it. Hopefully the interior art is just as solid as well. Alright, and my number 1 book that I want you guys to check out this week is right out of Secret Wars, and that's X-Men 92 issue number 1. This was the digital book that came out during the Secret Wars, and now it has its own series. I felt that the digital book struggled a little bit because it had to do with Secret Wars. But now that Secret Wars is over, I want to see where these 92 characters go in their universe, who they face, who their enemies will be. I want to see that classic 1990 new X-Men comic book art. I'm looking forward to the stories that will be told in this comic book. And personally, that's probably one of my most anticipated books this week. And I'm reminding you guys out there that that book is for purchase this week. And go ahead and check it out. So, there you guys have it. You've seen the countdown, you've seen the highly anticipated, and you've gotten my top 3 picks. So fans, now in the comments below, tell me what your favorite comic book of the week was, what your least favorite comic book was of the week, maybe all that other stuff in between. And fans, as always, thank you for watching Comic Book Corner 2.0. SoundCloud listeners, thank you for listening to the countdown on SoundCloud. And if you haven't checked out my YouTube channel yet, it's Comic Book Corner 2.0. Go ahead over to there on YouTube, subscribe, check out my videos, and as always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off, and this has been the Countdown, episode number 138. Take care, fans. See you soon. Bye. In no way, shape, or form is Big Sour Patch Kids paying me to advertise them. They're just yummy, they're just tasty. However, don't consume too many at one time, as your mouth could explode. Please brush your teeth after eating, as they're contained full of sugar and you don't want to go to the dentist. And absolutely don't eat too many like I did, or you'll definitely get a stomach ache and then you'll have severe stomach problems.